Here we go. Hello, friends, and thank you for joining me today. This is the Her Strength in Him podcast where we'll talk about love, faith, family, living with anxiety, and everything in between. I'm your host, V, and I just want to say I truly appreciate you listening today. It means a lot to me that you're giving me a chance. So let's jump on into today's episode. Her Strength in Him. I just love that title. I chose that title for the podcast because I really had to dig deep to find the strength and courage to do this podcast. But seriously though, I have also gone through things in life that maybe should have broken me, but I was able to find my strength in God to help me get through those tough times. It wasn't always easy, but let me tell you, when I got to the other side of some of those situations, actually, when I got to the other side of all of those situations, regardless of the outcome, I came out of it even stronger in my faith. And that's what I hope this podcast can be, a way to help others find their strength. I have been wanting to do a podcast for quite some time. I started doing research a few years ago. Yes, years. And the original idea has evolved into something completely different. And that's what you're hearing right now. Originally, I wanted to do a podcast talking about women of the Bible and how we, the women of today, can apply those teachings to our faith, our family, and our lives. I was in the process of looking for a co-host, and I think that was about the time that COVID happened. Then after a while, when I got that spark to do this again, I thought, how cool would it be if Chris is my husband, if Chris and I did a podcast talking about marriage from the wife's perspective and the husband's perspective, because we all know men and women think very differently. And as much as my husband loves to support me, he is extremely introverted, and he respectfully let me know that he didn't have the same passion as I did to do this. I was feeling pretty defeated, and I started to think that I would never get the chance to do a podcast because I couldn't find a co-host. So I prayed about it, and I took some time to reflect on why I wanted to do this in the first place. Why was it so important for me to start a podcast and share my story? It was to talk about how the Lord has worked in my life and how He keeps working in my life. Fast forward a few months, and here we are today. I guess you can say that I found my strength. Wink, wink. I'm really glad that there's no video because I am a very awkward winker. All right, let me go ahead and tell you a little bit about me. I am 39 years old, and I call the beautiful state of Arizona home, where the desert sunsets and scorching heat have made an impact on me. Over the last 15 years, I've lived in 5 states: California, Florida, Texas, Delaware, and now Arizona. My husband and I are talking about making another out-of-state move, and we're considering Montana. I'm actually really excited about that. I am deeply rooted in my faith, and I try to make that the center of everything in my life. I made the decision to be baptized in 2005 after my son was born. I knew that I needed to make a major change in my life to make sure that I give my son a better life than what I could offer him at that point. Even though I didn't know exactly what I needed, God knew. Around the time I was looking for a church in the Yellow Pages, yes, I was looking for a church in the Yellow Pages, a friend of mine invited me to worship services, and within a few months, I was having Bible study to better understand what it meant to be baptized. And let me tell you, it was the best decision that I have ever made in my life, hands down. Some of my hobbies include planning and goal setting. Planning and goal setting are actually my jam. I have been budget planning since about 2009 after my husband and I were almost stranded in New Mexico driving from Florida to California because we didn't know how to budget and literally ran out of money. And I have been planning in every other aspect of my life since about 2016. I literally started out with just a notebook and some highlighters. That evolved into me buying a standard planner from like Target or Walmart. It cost maybe $10. And doing that has really helped me gain more control of this whole anxiety thing. Well, as much as it can be controlled. After a few years, I upgraded to the Happy Planner. And if you're not familiar with what the Happy Planner is, it is a disc-bound planning system. And I absolutely love it, but it does tend to get a little pricey. So now that has evolved into me creating my own planner. And I've been creating my own planner for the last couple of years now. I decided to start designing my own planner because as great as the Happy Planner is, and no, I'm not being sponsored by the Happy Planner, I either just ended up not using certain pages or changing pages or adding pages. And like I mentioned, it gets a little pricey. So I designed something that works for me. I don't sell it or anything because I honestly don't have the confidence to list it, so it's just for me. For now. A verse that I hold near and dear to me when planning, and it's actually on the cover page of every planner that I have, is Proverbs chapter 16, verse 3. And it says, "Commit your works to the Lord, and your plans will be established." Does this mean that God is going to give you everything that you want? Nope. But like the verse says, if you commit your works to the Lord, He's going to give you what you need. I really love the note that my study Bible has for this verse, and it says, "We must maintain a delicate balance of trusting God as if everything depended on Him, while working as though everything depended on us." And if you're interested, the Bible that I use for my Bible studies is the New American Standard Life Application Study Bible. I'm sure that you can find it on Amazon or something like that. If you're interested, let me know. I'm happy to help you out. Okay, a little bit about my personal journey. I was born and raised in California, South Bay area. I have 2 older brothers. We have a pretty wide age gap between us, so my earliest memory I have, my brothers were already out of the house, living their lives, married with kids. I became an auntie at age 6. My oldest brother turned 53 this year. I think it's 53. Yeah, 53. And then my other brother turned 51. I'm 39. I like to give them a hard time about their age. I graduated high school a year early thanks to independent studies. Kids, if you enjoy your social life, don't cut school. I used to take a little extra time off of classes, and when my mother found out, she immediately put me on independent studies where she can keep a close eye on me. I really didn't have anything else to do, so I took extra classes and skipped my senior year. A couple of years after that, I got pregnant with my son and was a single parent for the first few years of his life. Then fast forward to 2008, I met the love of my life. And within 1 year of meeting him, we started dating, got engaged, got married, and found out we were pregnant. That first year was wild, I'll tell you what. Looking back now and reflecting, I know it had to be the Lord working in my life because I just straight up got on a plane with my son and moved across the country to get married. And let me tell you, I don't do planes. I don't travel anywhere unless we can drive there. I have moved across the country 5 times, and only one of those times did I fly. Chris, I have to say, I'm sorry for making you drive, but thank you for doing it for me. I've been married for almost 15 years to my amazing husband, Chris. We will be celebrating our 15-year anniversary in April. And together, we're raising our 2 awesome kiddos, our 18-year-old son and our 13-year-old daughter. You will hear me refer to them as the boy and the girl from time to time. Fun fact, and this was not in any way, shape, or form planned, but my kids' birthdays are a day apart. My daughter was born a day before my son's 5th birthday, a month after Christmas. Yeah, this time of year is really fun for me and Chris. My hope is that each of them will eventually make it on here to chat with me and with you. Chris is a UX designer, and he does a thing with the thing. I'm hoping he comes on here sometime and tells you exactly what he does. But for now, just know he's a UX designer. Our son is about to be 19 years old and is working on getting into college soon. On, get this, an esports scholarship. I didn't even know that was a thing. But he is very into gaming, and he helped put together his high school's first ever gaming club. So now the college that he's looking at is trying to build an esports program from the ground up, and our boy is very interested. He was also diagnosed with anxiety recently, just around the same age I was when I was diagnosed, and let me tell you, I was so devastated. I can't help but feel that I had some part in that. And a life with anxiety is not a life that I would wish on anybody. Now, our daughter, she's my outgoing one. She's into everything. She absolutely loves music, and she plays the guitar, the piano, the viola, and the trumpet. And I think she would be pretty upset if I didn't mention that her favorite band is Weezer. She also loves to play softball and recently got into volleyball. She stays busy throughout the year, which keeps us busy throughout the year. My kids are as different as night and day, and I am grateful for both because I have learned so much about myself, but most importantly, I have learned so much about who God is. In my professional life, I have spent the last decade in the corporate world. I am a team leader at a financial institution, and I am learning to love my job again. There was a point in time where I loved what I do. I love developing others and helping them get to the next point in their career. And earlier this year, I had gotten to a point where I was just wanting more and more, and I felt so unfulfilled. This made me so miserable that I didn't even want to go to work some days. Yet another opportunity for me to notice how God works in my life. I was given an opportunity this year to act or intern in the role that I wanted to be promoted to for a few months. And I really do think that that came at a perfect time. The role was not what I was expecting it to be, and when that internship was up, I was able to take a step back and really reflect on my experience and reprioritize what my wants were and what I needed to do. I was able to look back at all that I've accomplished at work and thought, how blessed am I to come into the position that I'm in and be able to make the impact that I have. There was a point in my career when where I am now was the end goal. So how dare I take that for granted and say that it was not enough? I was just wanting more, and I was being selfish. I was working for myself. It was a very humbling experience for me. So like I mentioned earlier, I'm learning to love my job again. And I'm learning to be content and go back to working for God, not for myself. I don't ever want to lose sight of what's important. And what I want is for God's light to shine through me in everything that I do, even at work. If you ever find yourself in the position that I was in, a verse that helped me get through it was Colossians chapter 3, verses 23 and 24. And it reads, "Whatever you do, do your work heartily as for the Lord rather than for men, knowing that from the Lord you will receive the reward of the inheritance. It is the Lord Christ whom you serve." Okay, moving on. What do I have in store for you with this podcast? A little bit of everything. I think what I would like to do over the next few episodes is talk about the goal setting system that I use since we're going into the new year. And it's just about the time that goal setting and resolutions and new habits are on everyone's mind. I'm still working through if I'm going to do seasons or if this is just going to be an ongoing podcast week after week. Once I figure that out, I think I'll be able to put together a more solid outline with different topics. I don't know. We'll see. For now, what I can tell you is that in upcoming episodes, you will get to know me as I share the experiences that have helped shape who I am today, my passions, faith, family, and everything in between. We'll also dive into the Bible, exploring its teachings and wisdom and how everything in life ties together and back to God. I believe that all our stories can be a testament to the power of faith, and by sharing mine, I hope to inspire and connect with you by letting God's light shine through me. And lastly, we'll explore how God's presence should not just be a cornerstone, but the foundation of our journey, and how we can learn to love like Jesus. So whether you're a fellow believer, someone who's curious about faith, or simply seeking inspiration, I invite you to join me on this exciting adventure. I do plan on having guests on here as well, starting with my family, hopefully, but we'll see how that turns out. What can you expect as far as a release schedule for episodes? Well, I'm hoping to release a new episode every week, but depending on how I'm feeling, that could change. There are times when depression sets in a little too hard and I literally only have the strength to get out of bed and exist. So it might be a little difficult to record during those periods. I will try my best though, I promise. That is something else that you can expect on this podcast. I'm very transparent with how I feel, and I am always willing to share and help others better understand things like anxiety and depression. Well, we made it to the end in one piece. Yay! Don't forget to subscribe so you get notified when a new episode does drop, and don't be shy to leave a review. I would love a 5-star, of course, but I prefer honest reviews. But be nice, please. I would also love to hear your story of what event or experience brought you to Christ, or I would love to answer any questions you might have. Maybe I will read yours in an upcoming episode. You can reach me on the socials, on Instagram at Her Strength Podcast, and on Facebook at Her Strength in Him. Thank you so much for showing your support. I'm so excited to embark on this journey with you. Stay blessed, and until next time, friends.